Picture this, you're a young orphan girl, trapped under the control of a cold-hearted stepmother. One day, she arranges for you to marry a blind beggar, not out of love, but as punishment, to ruin your future. But here's the part no one expected, the man isn't blind. And he's definitely not poor. He's secretly a billionaire, pretending to be blind to see who truly values people over money. What happens next will leave you stunned. Before we dive into this emotional roller coaster, hit that like button, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe and become part of our storytelling family. You won't want to miss what's ahead. Now, let's begin. The morning light hadn't even broken through the sky, yet Vanessa was already on her knees, scrubbing the cracked concrete floor with a faded rag that once belonged to her late mother. Her hands were sore, her joints ached, and her eyelids struggled to stay open from another sleepless night. But none of it mattered. This was her life now. No one ever called her name kindly. It was always a bark. Vanessa, why is this house still filthy? Vanessa, is this slop what you call food? If I hear your voice again, you're sleeping outside tonight. At just 13, a tragic car crash claimed both her parents. Her world collapsed in a single moment, and the only person who offered shelter was her father's second wife, Angela. Angela had shown fake sympathy at the funeral. "Don't worry," she had said with a sob and a hug. "You'll stay with me. I'll raise you like you're mine." But the day the mourners left, Angela's tears dried. That very night, she grabbed Vanessa by the ear and shouted, "From today, I'm your mother. You will clean, cook, and do as I say, or I'll toss you into the street. No one will care." And no one did. Vanessa became the unpaid housemaid in what used to be her own home. Her stepsisters, Cindy and Ella, relaxed in silk robes scrolling on their phones while Vanessa bathed with cold water and wore tattered clothes that barely fit. That morning, she stirred a watery bowl of pap over the fire. No milk. No sugar. Just plain mush and leftover akra. Her stomach rumbled. Smoke from the firewood stung her eyes. Suddenly, the door creaked behind her. She froze. Angela stepped out, yawning loudly in her wrapper. "You're still sitting there staring at food like a statue," she barked. "Do you need a knock to move?" Vanessa stood and quickly poured the pap into a bowl, her hands shaking. "Sorry, Ma." Angela grabbed the bowl, spat into the pot and said, "This one's for the man coming. Don't touch it." Vanessa nodded, biting back the hunger burning inside her. Then Angela gave a sly smile. "Eat fast. You've got a visitor today." "A visitor?" Vanessa asked, confused. "Yes," Angela said, licking her oily fingers. "A man came by. Said he's looking for a wife. I told him I had the perfect girl, useless, quiet, and obedient." Vanessa's heart raced. "A man? For me?" Angela burst into laughter. "Don't get excited. He's no prince. He's blind. And he's picking you because you're pathetic enough to say yes." Vanessa stared in disbelief. "He's blind?" Angela stood tall, arms crossed. "That's right. He said he wants someone humble. I told him you've got nothing going on, so you're the best choice." "Ma, please. I'm not ready. I'm only 19, Vanessa pleaded. Angela's expression turned cold. She grabbed Vanessa's chin and forced her to look up. "You think you have a say? You live in my house. You eat my food. I found someone foolish enough to take you off my hands, and you're arguing?" Tears welled in Vanessa's eyes. "I want to go to school." Angela slapped her hard across the face. The bowl tumbled from Vanessa's hands. "School?" Angela sneered. "You think I'll waste money sending you anywhere while my own daughters are here? You'll marry that man tomorrow whether you like it or not. At least then I won't have to feed another mouth." She stormed off, her slippers smacking the floor behind her. Vanessa collapsed to the ground, tears streaming. Her body trembled with helplessness. "Is this really how it ends for me?" she whispered. But life had other plans. The next morning arrived under heavy gray clouds. Vanessa sat on the edge of her thin foam mattress, holding the faded hem of her best dress, a dull blue gown with frayed edges and a stuck zipper. Her hands shook as she tried to fix it. "Vanessa." Angela's voice rang down the hallway. "He's here." Vanessa froze. "The blind man," Angela added. Her breath caught. Her chest tightened. Her feet felt like stone. But she stood up, wiped away the tears, and walked out, because in Angela's house, obedience was survival. Outside, she saw him. He stood tall, dressed neatly in a tan kaftan, with dark sunglasses and a white cane gently tapping the ground. A man in a black suit stood beside him, likely his guide or assistant. The blind man's face was unreadable. Calm. Collected. Silent. Angela rushed forward with a fake smile. "Aim-cha, welcome. This is the girl I mentioned, quiet, hardworking, and very submissive." Vanessa looked up at him. He didn't smile. He simply turned his head slightly in her direction. "So this is Vanessa?" he asked. His voice was low and steady. Not weak. Not timid. Just firm. She bowed her head. "I know this is sudden," he said. "But I have my reasons. I'm not searching for beauty. Just a partner who won't treat my blindness like a flaw." Angela laughed. "Oh, she's perfect. No job, no life, she's got all the time in the world for you." Vanessa clenched her fists. Her cheeks burned. But she said nothing. "Do you have any questions for me, Vanessa?" Aim-cha asked. She hesitated, then looked up at him. His face was calm, his eyes hidden. "Why me?" Angela shoved her forward. "What kind of question is that? Say yes already." But Vanessa stood her ground. "Please, Ma, let me speak." Angela's eyes narrowed. Vanessa turned back to Aim-cha. "I don't know you. I'm not ready. I just want to study. I don't want to be forced into a life I didn't choose." There was a long silence. Aim-cha didn't respond, but his assistant leaned over and whispered something into his ear. Angela, furious, grabbed Vanessa's arm. "You ungrateful brat. Do you think men like this grow on trees? You have nothing. You should be thanking me." "Please, Ma," Vanessa's voice cracked. Another slap rang out across the yard. "You will marry him. End of story." Angela snatched a white envelope from Emeka's assistant. Inside were stacks of crisp cash. Her eyes widened with greed. "That settles it. We start wedding prep today," she said smugly. Vanessa stood frozen, unable to feel her own legs. A stranger she'd just met. A forced marriage. A stepmother who had just sold her like property. Was this her destiny? That night, she didn't sleep. She sat by the window in her small room, the stars blinking faintly through rusted bars. Her thoughts swirled like a storm. Was this the life she was born into, serving others, being silenced, passed from one prison to another? And yet, amid the despair, a strange quiet settled in her chest. There was something about Aim-cha, his silence, his stillness, that didn't feel cruel. He hadn't touched her. He hadn't raised his voice. Even his gaze, though hidden, didn't feel threatening. It felt watchful. The next day came with little ceremony. Under Angela's rusted zinc roof, Vanessa became Emeka's wife. No music. No cake. No guests except a few gossiping neighbors and Angela counting money in the corner. Vanessa wore a second-hand dress and dusty sandals. She stood beside a man she didn't know, reciting vows she didn't believe in. But when the ceremony ended and the black SUV arrived to take her away, she didn't cry. She looked back once at the home that gave her pain, but never love, and then stepped forward into the unknown. The car rolled down the bumpy road in silence. Vanessa sat beside Aim Cha, her hands folded tightly in her lap, the ring on her finger heavy like a shackle. His assistant, Omina, sat in the front seat, glancing at them through the rearview mirror. The interior was spotless. The seats smelled like leather and lavender. A glowing dashboard screen flickered softly. Vanessa frowned. Everything felt expensive. Too expensive. She looked out the window. "Where are we going?" she asked softly. Aim Cha turned his head toward her. "Home," he replied. "Where is home?" she asked again. "You'll see soon enough," he answered, voice calm. But something in his tone hinted at mystery. As they drove, the scenery shifted. No more street vendors yelling, "Pure water." No potholes. No noise. They entered a quiet area lined with trimmed hedges, elegant fences, and security gates. Vanessa's heart started to pound. The houses grew larger, mansions, really. Some with fountains, others with driveways longer than the roads in her neighborhood. She turned to Omina. "Are we dropping someone off?" "No," Aim Cha said. "We've arrived." The car made a final turn and pulled up to a massive gate, black and gold, with large initials carved in metal, EM. Vanessa's breath caught. Her palms began to sweat. A security guard stepped out, punched in a code, and the gate slowly creaked open. Behind it was something out of a dream. A sprawling estate stretched before her. A marble fountain spewed water from lion-head statues. Rows of exotic flowers lined the driveway like royal guards. At the end stood a mansion with towering pillars and glass windows so wide she could see curtains dancing from outside. She turned to Aim Cha. I thought you were poor." He smiled faintly but said nothing. The car rolled to a stop at the grand entrance. 2 guards opened the doors. A man rushed forward to open Vanessa's side. She stepped out. Her old sandals touched polished tiles. Her head spun. A woman in uniform came out of the house and curtsied. "Welcome, madam." "Madam?" Vanessa echoed, stunned. They stepped inside. Vanessa nearly gasped. The interior looked like something from a palace. A chandelier sparkled from the ceiling. Velvet couches circled a glass table. A spiral staircase rose to the second floor. Real paintings, bold, vibrant, hung on the walls. Not stickers. Not copies. Originals. The air smelled of vanilla and fresh lilies. She stood still, overwhelmed. "Is this your house?" she asked Aim Cha, voice shaking. He reached up and removed his sunglasses. Vanessa's eyes widened. For the first time, she saw his eyes, clear, alert, unclouded. He wasn't blind. "You can see?" she whispered, stepping back in shock. "I can see perfectly," he said, calm as ever. Vanessa fell into a nearby chair, trying to breathe. "I don't understand." He walked over to her slowly. "I pretended. I wanted to find someone who wouldn't treat me based on my wealth. Someone who could still show decency even when I seemed to have nothing." Tears rushed down Vanessa's cheeks. "But why me? You never smiled at me. You never acted like you liked me. You didn't try to win me over. You didn't pretend. Even in pain, you had pride. You came with me, not for gain, but because you had no choice. Yet, you still carried yourself with quiet strength. That told me everything I needed to know." Vanessa covered her face, crying hard. "This isn't punishment," she whispered. "It's a miracle. You're not just my wife now," he said gently. "You're my blessing." He reached out his hand. "I'm Aim Cha Maduka." CEO of Muka Holdings. But in this house, I'm simply your husband. Vanessa took his hand, still trembling. For the first time in her life, someone truly saw her, not as a burden, but as someone worthy of love. 3 days passed. Back in the village, Angela sat under the mango tree, sipping malt and bragging to passing neighbors. Well, I finally got rid of her, she laughed. That blind man will make sure she forgets all her foolish dreams. Imagine, she wanted school. Now she'll be bathing him and feeding him like a baby. Cindy painted her nails nearby. Can you imagine Vanessa wiping someone's behind? She giggled. Ella snorted. She deserves it. Always pretending she's better than us. Angela smiled proudly. I let her stay all these years. And now, she's finally out of my hair. But then. A sleek black Mercedes slowly pulled up at the front gate. Everyone paused. That kind of car never came into their street. The door opened. A man in a suit stepped out, holding a golden envelope. He walked straight to Angela and bowed slightly. Good afternoon, madam. I have a special delivery from Mr. and Mrs. Maduka. Angela blinked. Maduka? Who? Your daughter and her husband. Chief Aim Cha Maduka. Angela stood, stunned. Chief. The man handed her the envelope and walked back to the car without another word. The engine purred, and the Mercedes disappeared. Angela opened the envelope, and her world shattered. Inside was a luxurious invitation card, thick and shining. In golden letters it read. You are cordially invited to the housewarming dinner at Muka Estate, hosted by Chief Aim Cha Maduka and his beloved wife, Vanessa Maduka. Angela gasped. There was a photo. Vanessa, draped in an emerald gown, diamonds at her neck, standing beside a smiling Aim Cha with both eyes wide open. Another photo showed the mansion's gate, EM. Another, Vanessa on a balcony, laughing in the sun. Angela's hands trembled. Her mouth fell open. Angela clutched the invitation card as though it had burned her fingers. Her lips quivered, eyes darting across the shimmering print. Vanessa, in a gown. Standing beside a man with sharp, open eyes, not a hint of blindness. What is this sorcery? She muttered. Her neighbors gathered around, sensing drama like bees to honey. One curious woman snatched the photo from Angela's shaky hands. Gasps rippled through the crowd. She married a billionaire, someone whispered. Wait, he's not blind, another neighbor blurted. Mama Kalu, the neighborhood gossip, squinted at the photo. But you told us he was a poor beggar. Angela stumbled backward, gripping her chest. This has to be witchcraft. She bewitched him. Cindy and Ella hovered behind their mother, stunned. Mommy, Cindy whispered, that house, those clothes, is that really Vanessa? Ella's mouth hung open. You said he had nothing. Angela's voice cracked into a shriek. Lies. This is a scam. It has to be. But the neighbors were already murmuring, laughter mixed with pity and judgment. This is karma, someone said. You treated that girl like trash. Another neighbor crossed her arms. She barely ate, barely slept, and now, look at her. Living like royalty. Angela dropped to her knees, tearing at her wrapper. Her daughters flinched with embarrassment. Get up, Ma. Cindy hissed. But Angela sobbed louder. How can Vanessa be living in a palace while I sit here humiliated? From that moment on, everything changed. Angela's name became a joke on the street. Mama blind-in-law, children taunted as she passed. Her once busy shop now stood empty. Customers whispered. Friends stopped visiting. Even her daughters grew cold, resenting her for pushing away the one person who could have changed their fate. While Angela drowned in shame, Vanessa stood on the marble balcony of her new home. She wore a silk robe, her arms folded as she watched the golden fountain dance in the moonlight. Everything felt surreal. She wasn't mopping floors anymore. She wasn't being slapped or silenced. She wasn't afraid. Still, somewhere deep in her chest, doubt lingered. Behind her, soft footsteps approached. It was Aim Cha. "You always come out here at night," he said, voice low. Vanessa turned to him with a faint smile. "It's the only place I still feel like I'm awake." "You think all this is a dream?" he asked, leaning beside her. She hesitated. "No. I just don't think I deserve it." Emeka's brow furrowed. "Why would you say that?" Vanessa's eyes welled with quiet tears. "Because I'm not like the women from your world. I don't wear designer shoes. I never went to fancy schools. I've spent my life doing laundry and cooking over firewood. I'm not refined. I don't belong here." He reached for her hand gently. "Vanessa. I didn't fall for a status. I fell for a soul." She looked up at him, startled. He continued, "I could have had any woman. Women who chased my money. Women who wore masks. But I was searching for something different. Something rare." Her lips parted, but she couldn't find the words. "I watched you long before I ever approached," he said. "Omina was in your neighborhood weeks earlier. He told me everything." Vanessa frowned. "He was watching me?" Aim Cha nodded. "He saw you give your last piece of yam to a hungry child. He saw you take the blame when your stepsister broke that mirror. You lived in cruelty, yet still showed kindness. That's what told me, this girl is gold." Tears streamed down Vanessa's face. This time, not from hurt, but from healing. "I want you to go back to school," he said gently. "I'll cover everything. University. Books. Anything. You'll get the future they said you weren't worthy of." Her breath caught. Why would you do that for me?" Aim Cha smiled softly. "Because someone once did it for me. When I was poor, angry, and forgotten, someone lifted me up. I made a promise, to lift someone else, if I found someone worth it." Vanessa threw her arms around him. For the first time, she wasn't hugging out of desperation, but out of gratitude. She was loved. She was safe. She was finally free. Meanwhile, Angela's home had become a shell. Her daughters fought constantly. The laughter was gone. The neighbors no longer greeted her. Her shop barely made enough for food. And shame hung over her like a storm cloud. She couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, memories played like cruel movies: Vanessa on her knees scrubbing, Vanessa eating scraps, Vanessa begging for school. And now Vanessa was gliding across marble floors, served by housekeepers, loved by a man the whole city respected. Angela sat alone, staring at the walls. Then one morning, another SUV rolled up outside her house. She peeked through the curtain, heart racing. Not again. The door opened. Vanessa stepped out. She wore a bright orange gown that shimmered in the sun. Her shoes sparkled. Her hair was styled neatly. In her hand was a small, elegant bag. Angela opened the door, stunned. "You came," she whispered. Vanessa nodded, calm. Angela stepped back. Did your husband send you?" "No," Vanessa said gently. "I came on my own." Angela avoided her gaze. "So, you came to laugh at me?" Vanessa shook her head. "No. I came to forgive you." Angela looked up, eyes wide. "I'll never forget how you treated me," Vanessa said. "But I refuse to carry bitterness in my heart. I came because, like it or not, you're the only family I had." Angela's lips trembled. "I was angry. Tired. Broke," she sobbed. "I thought I was doing what I had to. I didn't know you'd shine like this. Vanessa nodded slowly. That's the thing about people you throw away, they sometimes rise higher than you ever imagined. She handed Angela the small bag. Angela opened it. Inside was money. Not millions, but enough. Enough to restock her shop. Enough to breathe again. Vanessa said, use it well. And maybe, learn to be kinder. Then she turned and walked back toward the car. Angela dropped to her knees again, but this time, not from pride, not from shame, but from something she never expected from the girl she used to break. Mercy, that evening, Vanessa curled up beside Aim Cha in their bedroom, the soft light from the chandelier casting a golden glow on the walls. The silk sheets felt like clouds beneath her, but it wasn't the comfort of the mansion that made her heart feel full. It was him. She rested her head on his chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. How are you feeling? He asked softly, stroking her hair. Lighter, she said. Like the chains finally broke. Aim Cha smiled. Because they did. You've carried pain for too long. But now, it's time to live. Vanessa closed her eyes and breathed in deeply. I still don't understand how I ended up here, she whispered. It's like I was buried alive, and someone pulled me out. You were never meant to stay buried, Aim Cha replied. You just needed someone to remind you that you were always gold, even in the dirt. She looked up at him, tears in her eyes. And you did that. He held her close. No, Vanessa. You did it. You endured without becoming bitter. That's your strength. And with those words, Vanessa drifted into peaceful sleep, perhaps for the first time in years. Thank you so much for watching this story. If it touched your heart, let us know in the comments, what lesson stood out the most to you. We'd love to read your thoughts. And guess what? A new, powerful story is dropping very soon, so don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. See you in the next one.